Now, because I know that we oftentimes forget about initializing when we are going through and declaring variables, I wanted to add a bit of a wrinkle here for you. This will not necessarily map to anything extremely well in the textbook, but this is one of the things that I know in, having gone over dozens of C++ classes before. I know that this is something that trips up a lot of developers is we do not have to initialize every element in an array. We can actually only partially initialize an array. So here on line 6, you can see I'm going to clearly use size to help me with the number of elements in my array. So here on line number 7, I have an array called numbers that is of size 7. And do recall that if I was to initialize those or provide initial values, I would use the curly braces here like you see in a comma separated list, and these would map to the elements in my array. So the value of element 0 would be 1, the value of element 1 would be 2, the value of element 3 would be 4, just so that I could use that in a sentence and muck everybody up. But what do you notice here is that I only have 4 initial values, but I have an array of length 7, right? So I'm just going to run this, and what we're going to see in the output window any moment now is what the resultant is. The remaining uninitialized elements are actually initialized. So because the array is of type int, those are initialized to 0. This is done because I have partially initialized my array. Then C++ goes through and continues to initialize those for me. This is where the beginning developer can mess this up. Watch what happens if I take out this portion of my statement. If I do not initialize what is happening with my integers here inside of my array for numbers. Is this what you were expecting in the output? We actually got lucky. Those two elements, element number 3 and element number, actually elements numbers 2 and 3 are initialized to 0. And actually one more is too. But everything else has a value in there because this is running in a live environment someplace on a server out there, and there is, space being taken up. So these are not automatically initialized for you. That is the biggest mistake you guys are going to run back into when you are getting re-energized for the code here is, I'm using an array to do math because I've got, 2 parallel arrays. I've got students and I've got grades. And for whatever reason, I've got these crazy numbers coming out of there that I just didn't expect. It's because you didn't initialize your array. I never said 9,821,294,712 or whatever that number is for the value that is stored in numbers at sub 0. But there it is, because they were uninitialized. So there we go. We can partially initialize an array, and actually, as a result of our mixed laziness here, C++ will do you a solid and go back through and initialize your array, because you are gonna forget.